Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode lucky number 7 of the Hotdog and Handshake podcast. We're excited to have with us today someone that both Mike and I know very well, someone that a lot of people out there in the wrestling world know very well from many different places. The one, the only, because there can be only one, Pineapple Pete, Suga Dunkerton.
Good day.
Man, the man of many names.
But only
Welcome
two have
to
really
the show.
made money. that's
So
Suga
those are the
Dunkerton
ones
and
that
Pineapple
matter.
Pete. We'll roll with those. We'll roll with those, man.
Those are the ones that matter. Hey, thanks for joining us, man, for taking some time out of your day to be with us. We appreciate it very much. We're going to start out how we always start out. We always want to find out a little bit about you personally when you first got interested in professional wrestling. So we can go about it one of two ways. First, who was the person that you saw that you said, hey, I want to be like that. I want to do what that person does. Who was that person for you?
I tell people often, like, I have very odd choices when it comes to like people I latch on to in professional wrestling. I feel like I feel like I can summate this pretty quickly. For anybody that's ever asked this question, my dad left a ton of VHS tapes from like the Armed Forces Network where we used to get the pay-per-views for free. I'm sorry if you see me rub my shoulder a lot. I don't have
You're fine.
issue. I got stung a lot while I was in Tampa, so I'm just rubbing. I'm trying not to scratch it. Rubbing. I know what it looks like. It's like, oh my God, it's calling me. I had a lot of VHSs that were left over, and like some of my earliest memories in life were of wrestling. And I feel like no matter what, I was always going to end up, being caught up. Like I knew it was going to be a major force in my life. Sometimes I just didn't know how deep it was going to be. And if we're talking about somebody that I was like, oh, I want to be like, and a reason why representation matters in this business, huge fan of Coco Beware. Dude was crazy. He was singing his own theme music. He had the little dances, he had the colors, all that other stuff. It sounded like an argument. He was singing it so loud and strong, couldn't say argument correctly. It was great. And like the match was Macho Man Randy Savage versus it's so funny bringing him up now.
Especially since I think you've met him a couple times at our shows, haven't you?
I think so. Like not even Macho Man. I'm talking about old Terry, and old Terry. WrestleMania 5. But I could probably recall that match like from the back of my hand because I've seen it so many times. And I just knew, like WrestleMania 5 is always going to have sentimental value for me just because of, that was my first pay-per-view I watched front to back. I remember everything about that. I remember, Morton Downey and Brother Love and Roddy Piper having the three-way talk-off and like the opening match where, yes, indeed. Hercules Hernandez, we found out that his finisher is a back suplex, among other things, and all that other stuff. It was great. And
Hercules Hernandez was so underrated back then.
What do you mean, Hercules?
Yeah, so underrated back then.
That opening match as a whole was underrated. It was him versus Aku. Really good. It was just two thick dudes doing thick dude things, man. It was great. Yeah. Good, wonderful.
So was that the point where you got an interest where you said, I really want to pursue this as something to do in my life? Or was there a later point in time where you said, I think I want to find out how this is done and I really want to get into it and see what happens?
I was interested from first memory, man. It was just a matter of how was I going to find myself in there? And, like in the meantime, I used to always read like the aftermaths, like specifically Wow. Wow was like my favorite. And they had the indie section. So I was like, okay, these are guys that are like more my size, guys I haven't heard about. Oh my God, they got indies in Georgia, they got indies over here, they got indies over there. So maybe I gotta start off over there to get to where I'm trying to go. And it was just a lot of that. And I think mom thought it was gonna be something that I was gonna grow out of. And Lord, was she wrong? She was super, super wrong.
I think all of our parents thought we were going to grow out of this.
Nah, you would have just been better off embracing that early, but nope, she wasn't having that. But I ended up finding like a training school in Augusta. It wasn't the best thing in the world or whatever it is, but it got my foot in the door. And once I started there, I kind of had to unlearn a lot of bad habits because, like I said, like I appreciate it, but like it wasn't like the best training in the world. So a lot of it I had to unlearn on the road with different people. So when I credit like who my trainers are, I always credit Jeremy Vane. I always credit Dr. David Rains, and I always credit Murder One because they were the three people that took an interest aside from just saying like, yo, because I was wrestling for like 3 or 4 years for a while, and it was constantly like, hey kids, your matches suck, which is great, but constructive criticism goes a long way, so they were the first ones
sucked?
to be
right.
So they were the first ones to be like, yo, your matches suck, but here's why they suck. And then I just took the advice and I started sucking less, and now I suck at a higher plane with more money on the line. So it's great. Yeah.
Now Murder One, he's obviously big in the Atlanta, Georgia area.
Right.
What's he? I mean, has he worked for the Fed?
I think the biggest shot that he ever got was before ECW went under. He got paired with New Jack in a tag team for a number of house shows, and like that 2001 ECW run before like Heyman went off and did Rollerball. That was that they had a lot of fresh faces coming in. Like that was like the Christian York, Joey Matthews, that was like him sliding in. That was like a lot of people that were kind of like the groundwork for like the cruiserweight tag division and like guys you would see in NWA TNA and whatnot.
Sure. Yep.
But ECW didn't, obviously they didn't stick around. And like, man, that sucked. Like, because I always picture getting a WCW deal. I always wanted to be a WCW guy. I was that guy. And it was like WCW closed and then ECW closed like right behind it. And it was like, that was just the worst. Ugh.
Well, that answered one of Mike's questions that he always asks. He always asks if you were WWF or WCW guy.
Oh, definitely WCW. First hour Nitro, all hours of Thunder. Like, let's get it. Like, I was about that life.
I do have a stick. I do ask the same questions.
Oh, what we got?
Well, no, he said that was one of his questions that he always asks.
Oh, right. Like to me, there was no touch. Like to me, I just felt like I remember at once upon a time, like, don't get me wrong, like that speaks to the product saturation that the McMahons have built throughout the decades, because you want a product or a company that's so good that whenever somebody thinks of an item, yours is always the one that they have synonymous. Like when you think fast food, you think McDonald's. When you think of phone, you think of an iPhone. When you think of computer, you think Bill Gates. So like when you think wrestling, shouts to Turner, shouts to Tony Khan, shouts to, Anthem, anybody that's ever done it as far as wrestling, who have done beautiful, beautiful things in the realm of wrestling. Everybody's always going to think of WWF or WWE first. They're always going to be the gold standard. But
Absolutely.
To me, WCW was just, I don't know. It was just something about it. And I was always very enamored by it. I always really liked it. I know WWE had bigger characters, but I don't know. It was just a vibe about WCW.
It was shot. It felt like it was shot differently.
Sure.
It was that alternative to the other show.
Plus, if you were a smaller cat like myself, well, small by wrestling standards, but if you were, again, it depends on who I'm in there with now. But like, especially during that time, if you were a smaller cat, WCW was like holy grail. It's like you got cruiserweight division, and then you were seeing people like actually get used that were of like a certain size, certain height, and everything like that. I mean, I just wanted to be like a TV champ or something like that. I had aspirations, man. 7-time TV champion would have been nice. It would have been great.
You know, I hear that
That's like
24/7
maybe a one-on-one
championships
Saturday
up for
night,
grabs.
Saturday night against Bobby Eaton or something, right? For the
WCW said I would have ruled Saturday night. Like I would have never left Saturday night. Like I always make jokes all the time. Not that it would ever happen, but then again, stranger things have happened. I would be that guy that would watch like all the C and the D list shows. So like I can tell you all the matches from Jack and Velocity and Heat and whatever it is. And it's like I'd probably be the only guy on a brand split that would get drafted to like main event and love it. And just be like, hey,
yeah,
right. Like, you're doing great work on main event. You know, I think it's time that we moved you over to one of the bigger rosters, man. We got to move you over to SmackDown. We got to move you to Raw. Like, do we have to? I feel like, you know, we have a good thing going on over here. You know, I do my 10 minutes, I get paid, I go home.
It's like Finn going back to NXT.
Hey, like he's had a hell of a run since he went back. And I feel like in some cases you need stuff like that because it puts legitimacy on it. You know, like I wish there was kind of a way that they could do that with 205. Sure. But then it's like, who could you pull where it's not looking like it's an active demotion? Sure. Like to put them down to 205 just because how 205 is promoted. That's all.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that, you know, we had talked with Matt Raywalt about, you know, how they move these guys around and the public perceives some of these moves as a demotion, whereas that actual wrestler sees it as an opportunity. And, you know, just what you just explained, you know, sure. there's not really a way to look at it as a demotion unless you have done something to make it a demotion. If
you're one of those guys that's coming out the curtain, anything is better. Like, okay, don't get me wrong, and I want to be very clear about something. WWE, the king of catering. Okay, catering is a very, very, very wonderful experience. They have all sorts of things and drinks and treats and all sorts of things like that. Like, if I could, you know, wink, wink. You know, if I were around, I would live off of catering. My grocery bill would be super, super low. However, you are not maximizing and making your most money in catering. So I get it. So if they tell you, hey, your spot is main event, you better do something with it. It's better than sitting down for catering. You know what I'm saying? So you go out there and you try to make the most of the spot. So I totally get it.
That's I think that's something else that we found out talking to some of the other enhancement guys or undercard guys. They all say that they get sick and tired of getting on the plane every day to go sit in catering. You know, they want to work. You know, sure. So it's not about the money to any of them because obviously they're getting paid, but they want to work. They want to contribute.
Well, to be fair, I mean, I felt like I had this conversation with somebody the other day, and it's something that I kind of had on my mind after the AEW time was, you know, the time. You know, I told myself from the first phone call when they asked me to come through there that, you know, it could be one phone call, it could be many a phone call, but like, this is wrestling. Like your time is your time. Nobody ever sits thinking this is going to be a forever thing. Sometimes that long time is a very short time. And even when it is a long time, it goes by very quickly, you know? So I had to start asking questions in regards to, and I'm trying to find the best way to word it. So in all the time that I've had in this business, the AEW experience was very different and very necessary because it's uncharted territory for me. I've never been that deep in the system. Like, I can tell you a lot of things about internationally or the indies or whatever it is, but I never was on the regular with a major company, whether, you know, signed, unsigned, whatever. I never got that far. I've never seen what it's like on the regular with how stuff is put together for a TV product, like a major TV product. I've never seen how that stuff works, how people interact, how stuff gets put together, how decisions are made, et cetera, et cetera. So it was a hell of a learning experience. The biggest learning experience that I probably took from that last year is you have to know what you're about, and you have to be honest with yourself about what you're about in this business as a performer. For some people, Catering is just fine. It's absolutely fine. I'm still getting a check. Whether I'm sitting here, I could eat this stuff all day long and then watch what everybody else is doing. My mortgage is still getting paid every Monday. Bam, it's hitting the direct deposit. No harm, no foul. But if you're an artist,
and that's fine too. That's their career.
Sure, because some people, they look at it, it's a job. At the end of the day, it's still a job.
Yep.
Now, if you're an artist type, you're definitely looking for, what's my legacy? What kind of matches have I put out there? What is this? What is that I'm about to get ready to do? And the thing about it is, especially, I'm very much still in an artist phase of my career. Would it have been awesome to get the contract offer? Absolutely. Would I have said no? Probably not, because I probably would have been in such shock to even be in that situation. The thing about it is, I also think about the realism of what my spot was when it was all said and done. It was something that would have never caught fire had it not been for another number of circumstances. I wrote it out as good as I possibly could, but I'm happy for where I'm at right now. Like, I just got back from a Mania week where I did 6 indie shows. I've got companies that are waiting to use me overseas when things start to calm down. I got vaccinated, so everything is fine.
I didn't think about that with this whole COVID situation.
Sure.
How much it did. I mean, you were really starting to make some steam over there, overseas.
Absolutely. But and the thing is, I'm very realistic about, like, the funny thing, especially with social media, is everybody's got an opinion. Plus, because you're so accessible, everybody feels like they could just say anything to you. So I've definitely had a lot of positive, but I've definitely had a lot of negative in my ear too, about, like, you would have never got a shot in the first place and this and that and everything like that. I'll be honest with you, I probably wouldn't have. Before COVID happened, AEW was supposed to be in Rochester, New York. And then on top of that, it's very rare that you ever see them have an instance where used to work. Dark used to be 5 matches. So between COVID striking, them needing people, me being in the right state, me showing up at the right time, and then if you're talking about the Atlanta taping where Pineapple Pete was born, I'm trying to remember. Excalibur had to be unavailable. Jericho had to make the plane. I had to make the choice to wear a pineapple shirt. It had to be within the view of Jericho. This is like ain't intangible.
The fates of the gods,
like,
yeah.
For
the
all
stars
that
aligned.
So wrestling's weird. Wrestling's very, very weird like that.
And I like I said, I remember seeing that, look at the crowd going, wait a minute, I think that's Sug, out there in the crowd. And then obviously it went back to, I don't remember if you remember the Heroes and Legends where Mickey Knuckles and the girl fight had that street fight.
Oh, I was doing bootleg commentary.
Yeah, you're out in the crowd doing bootleg commentary. That's when I heard your voice. I go, he's doing that same thing he was doing at our show. And I still go back. It's on Amazon Prime, by the way. If you ever go back on Prime and look up Girl Fight, it's on there. And so it was. That's what I felt. I was like, wow, he's doing that same thing, but now on this much larger scale.
Oh my God, like that was a good time, and yeah, and I mean, it was just a good time and just doing me, and I can't say enough, like, especially for people getting opportunities like that, or just any kind of opportunity that you get, no matter what your level is, you have to be true to who you are. You kind of just got to do it the way that you do it, because then it guarantees that it can't be like how somebody else would do it. I can't think of a million people that would have probably made the choice that I made fashion wise, or like go about it the way that I do it. Like, I've known Sean for like a very long time. I've known you for a while. So y'all know I make strange fashion choices, and I'm okay with that. Like, I like that, and I'm all right.
But you make it work.
Right. But it was like blending in totally wouldn't have got me the run that I got. And it's like, and say what you will, it was a run. And it was cool.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And there's no saying that
you were literally in the ring with the world heavyweight champion and not a squash match.
Yeah, that was weird. Like, let me tell you about that too. Since we're talking about that. I really got to give a shout to Chris Jericho And I talked about that on his podcast, but like, you know, we can do it again here. Originally, when they told me what the spot was supposed to be as soon as the bell rings, I was gonna run in like uber ready to get at him. Judas Effect, that was gonna be the end, and then roll me out of the ring. So Jericho heard it. He was like, I don't want to just kill the guy. The way he said it, it was like, I don't want to just kill the guy. He's like, where's the sizzle? Like, where's the sizzle in that? So he talked to me, and the thing is, he's like, listen. He said, there's probably gonna be people on the internet that still think this is like the worst. It still thinks like, oh my God, the guy got jobbed out or whatever it is. He's like, but the moment the bell rings, he's like, the moment the bell rings, you know, I'm gonna talk my trash about you. I'm gonna do all this and everything like that. He said, I want you to go crazy and I want you to let it all out. And the thing is, I know people get trippy about like, well, it was only excuse me, hold on. Let me get my Oh my God, you were totally buried in the match, and you know, you only did like 1 minute and 40 seconds. I don't see what the big deal is about and everything like that. Well, like technically that was a minute that I shouldn't have even got. And the thing about it is, it's like, to be fair, if we're going off of ratios, I dominated 90% of that 1 minute and 40 seconds. It took one move, which won him a world championship, also won him the IWGP Intercontinental Championship.
Exactly.
Nobody's kicked out of the Judas Effect. So nope. Like I lost to a multi-proven winner of a finisher. Plus on top of that, he's like, everybody's just gonna remember the fact that you were fired up and you had the moment. And yes, I do have the distinct accolade of being like the only like unsigned wrestler that he's wrestled, and like, God, he sure keeps a job, doesn't he? Because I'm trying to think. He did AEW, and then from AEW he did New Japan for a little while, and then WWE. Chris Jericho's had a job for at least since what the mid 90s with ECW.
Yeah, because he was wrestling for Smoky Mountain before that. So
right, so he's consistently had a contract for all that time. So like, and he's not a guy that you see do Velocity or any of that other stuff like that or anything like that. So I'm like the first uncontracted guy that he's wrestled in like forever. And it's a distinction. I'll carry it. That said, I've told people many times before, I don't want my biggest thing on my resume to be that, oh, remember that one time on TNT when like Pineapple Pete got Judas Effect by Chris Jericho. I think it was a good start for something, but I know there's more. And I don't know if it's going to be more with them. I don't know if it's going to be more with overseas. I don't know if it's going to be somewhere else. But I'd like to think
the AEW book's not closed. Like there's a
not at all, yeah. Just a stopover when it's all said and done. Also, let us also not forget that I came in second place in a foot race with our current WWE SmackDown Women's Champion, Bianca Belair. I've had a very sordid career history right now. Very, very, very sordid career history.
Well, you know, anybody that knows you, and I've known you now for, oh man, going on 10 years now. Yeah. Man, you know, I say stuff to you and you make these faces like, oh man, stop it. But it's true. You have worked and earned everything that you've gotten so far in your career. Your career is not I could say your career is storied. You know, you've done a lot of different things. You've been a lot of different people. And you've had a lot of great opportunity, but opportunity finds those who deserve it. And you are one of those people. And I've always thought that. And I'm gonna get just a little bit mushy here.
Oh, God.
I don't buy a whole lot of merch, but the very first piece of merch I ever bought.
Yes,
I still have it.
I
still have it. Shaking Fools. I still have the Shuggy Shake shirt. And it's one of my treasures. It doesn't fit me anymore because I've gotten a lot fatter in the last 10 years or so. But I keep it.
We haven't hit the gym like you have.
Yeah.
I got no
you know, I keep it as a memory. And, you know, this shirt has a memory because there were circumstances under which I got this shirt.
I remember.
But there's going to be a whole lot more for you in the future. I mean, we all know this. AEW, I think, is the biggest stepping stone so far, and I think it's going to propel you into more things beyond that.
You know,
Your whole history is not going to be defined by a short run on AEW. There's going to be more, and there's more before that. But what were you saying? Sorry.
sure. No, no, you're good. Well, first of all, thank you. That means a ton. And it's like, I get podcast requests all the time. So I get very discerning, especially now about who I want to talk to nowadays.
Sure.
And being very candid and everything like that, it's like I feel like every time I've gotten really close to an opportunity, there's always been something on my end that I could have did. And I feel like there's a very common trait when people get very close. It's always there's a blame of, oh, they just didn't like me, or they didn't know what to do with me, or they didn't do this, or they didn't do that, or they just don't know money when they see it, and all this other stuff like that. So, choices are choices. I'm not here to be that guy when it comes to choices. I'm just proud of the fact that like I was working a ton pre-pandemic. I still worked a ton during a pandemic. I'm working a ton now, and then I'll still be working more even when this pandemic hopefully clears up. And the thing about it is, I can get into a million reasons on a personal level. Like, I weight was up and down, so I was stressing. Did I not have the right gear? Did I not do this? Is there something I didn't show in the match or whatever it is? I don't look at it as a failure. I look at it as the fact that like, hey, you had a good elongated run. I still keep up with a lot of people from there, a lot of really good people from that locker room and whatnot. But I'm more tenacious than ever now that I know what it takes to be at that level, to be at that level. And sometimes you're thinking, okay, well, if they called me up, I'm ready for it. And then sometimes you have to be there to realize, okay, this is what it really takes to be in that room at a high level. And you don't know sometimes until you're in that room, that high level, with all that talent looking at you and all that talent that you're facing on a regular basis. I mean, like, I had a run where it was like what Spears one week, and it was Lance Archer another week, and Sabian another week, and it's like you can't ask for better opposition than that. Jericho another week, and all this other stuff like that. It's like you're literally having a learning experience every time. And like even the Spears and the Lance Archer matches, that was like a double learning lesson because look who manages them. Tully Blanchard and Jake the Snake Roberts, and both of them pulled me aside after it was all said and done and had great advice, and we're throwing little things out there and all that other little stuff like that. It's like if you can't pull stuff from that, like from that kind of experience, I don't know what you were doing. You really must have been sitting in catering.
I mean, Dean Malenko's an agent there, right?
Jesus Christ, like you got Dean Malenko at BJ Whitmer as an agent numerous times, Jerry Lynn, all sorts of stuff. So it's like there's so many bits of my game that I like to think that when I came back, well, I never really left, but when I was back to the indies where it was like, okay, I'm not headed back to that. Now let's get the focus back on the indies. It was a different kind of mind state, different type of mentality. It's like, okay, I got new tools in the bag. Let's polish and get everything as high level as humanly possible so that the next time you get ready to go ahead and make this run, there's no stopping it, man. It's just pretty much like, here it is. Do you want the deal? Then I get to make the choice if I want the deal or
not. Now, when you first got to AEW, one of the things that we hear from a lot of the people that we interview is what that initial locker room experience was like.
Sure.
We've heard, the WWE locker room apparently can go either way for some people. A lot of people say they come in and, they're introducing themselves and everybody's looking at them like, who the hell are you? What was that experience like for you going to AEW? Now, obviously you may have known some of these people already.
Sure.
But what was that locker room experience like for you at AEW, we'll say, as compared to somewhere like WWE?
It made it a little, and having revisited WWE lately, I would have told you based off of old experiences with WWE, that it's like they just put you in a broom closet until they need you. You know what I'm saying? But the catering is nice. Now I've noticed it's gotten a little bit more chill since then. I had the best time I've had in forever the last few times I went and did extra work for them. AEW, very chill. I think that's the best way I can put it. Like everybody knows somebody that knows somebody there. So like, everybody's quick to be like, oh, such and such from such and such. Okay, well, this is how we know them. And then it just kind of clicks together and it goes together. It's wrestling. So there's still the politics to navigate. There's still the clicks, things of that nature. So I don't want everybody thinking all of a sudden it's like it's all rainbows and sunshine and you can do everything that you want. Like there's still stuff you got to navigate and things that you got to watch out for.
Still a national company, yeah.
Sure, of course. But like still a great time. And I really enjoyed myself for the time that I got over there. And I think it's gonna be a bit of a trip because with the Jericho cruise coming up in October, I'm gonna end up seeing them again. I laughed about it because it's like it's almost like when you watch a reality show and it's like there's a favorite on that show that you really like, but they got cut for some reason. Yeah. And then it's like they do the reunion show, and then all of a sudden it's like, guess who's back? So,
I'm back.
Right. So I had a trip about that, and it was a trip getting hit up by Chris about that. Like he just hits me up out the blue, and he's like, hey, what do you got going on for like such and such period and everything like that? I'm like, I don't know. Like I don't know what's going on. It's like, but you tell me. And then he's like, somebody's gonna be emailing you. And then before you know it, it was like, boom, Jericho cruise. So I was like, oh, this is crazy.
I wanted to go with that very first one they had sold out super quick. But it looked like it was a great time. I mean, that's so out of the box, right? I mean, to be wrestling on a boat in the middle of the ocean, like, it's just crazy to me.
I'm not gonna lie, it's a like at this point in my game, I laugh about it. I'm like my cage match. Like I don't know if you've ever been to that website like cagematch.de or cagematch.net.
Yep.
They keep like a whole listing of like.
I actually have it pulled up.
Right. Which I'm upset about because my groundbreaking Heroes and Legends Cruiserweight title reign, I believe, is not counted, and that's an issue. And they need to get on that, man. I think
that would have been. Let's see. Good. This goes all the way back to 2006 for you.
It was a title that he never lost.
This is true. This was
very true.
This is true.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do something about that.
Well, after it gets done with the Drama King, you might need to go smack Cortez around a little bit.
It's Cody Lee. Cody Lee's a champ right now.
Yeah,
right?
Cody Lee. Yeah, he's fighting Cortez in the show. Yeah.
Hey, spoilers, dude. But like, don't leak the booking sheet, man.
No.
I'm playing. I think that should be a really good match. But like,
yeah, I love Cody Lee. I love Cody Lee to death. Yeah.
And
he does this like step over DDT through the middle rope that he does so fluidly that I can't see. He just does it so quick, man. But like I love that move from him.
That's talent when you do it.
Yeah.
When I look at my cage match profile, I trip out because it's like I've really like in some of the stuff some of the people I've wrestled, some of the matches I've been in, some of the places I've gotten to go, like it reads like something off of pressing like random on like general manager mode on like SmackDown versus Raw or something. But I love that about what I've got going on, and it makes me very appreciative because I've had so many people in so many different countries and walks of life and promotions that are like, he's the guy for the job. He can handle it. And I think my resume speaks for that. Like, even when I'm looking at the match that we got coming up for Heroes and Legends next week, I saw I was across from Aiden English and I was like, oh, like, and I don't mean in a bad way. Well, he doesn't go by Aiden English anymore. Like,
right.
Like the Drama King.
The Drama King.
But he's a hell of a talent. And it made me like, I always wondered why they kind of took a step back on him and just put him in the commentary because he's got size, he's got a great build.
He actually answered that question on the show. Yeah, that was actually a decision he made. to go to commentary.
Really?
Yeah, interestingly enough, today on his YouTube channel, Drama King Matt, he actually did a YouTube video on that, which we discussed yesterday. So it is, yeah. So we did talk about that.
Hell of a job on commentary, but like I'm a very big fan of his in-ring work. And like
yeah, me too. Yeah.
Considering he doesn't like to come out the house too often as far as in-ring work, I taken a special pleasure of the fact that I guess I gotta make it worth for him. You know, I gotta make it worth it.
I think you guys are going to tear the house down. I told Sean, looking at the sheet alone, that this is has the potential to be match of the night. I mean, you guys are going to tear the roof off the place.
Now you're putting expectations. We'll
like, just put a little bit more weight on his shoulders. Why don't you?
Yeah, throw like couple bricks on there.
We'll move some
August 27, 2016, Heroes and Legends Cruiserweight title. Sugar Dunkerton defeats Jorge Bravo. When did that ever happen? And since when has Jorge Bravo been a cruiserweight?
So this is where they got it messed up. That was I feel like I definitely remember this. Okay,
that was a fitness fest. I remember that.
Right. So
remember when we had to get you in the back gate in your car?
That's what I'm saying. Like y'all almost offered me to drive my car in like Eddie Guerrero style. I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. But like I think they didn't get a report back to the triple threat where I won it. So I guess they assumed that was when I got crowned champion or whatever it is. And then they still reported. But it's like, it's cool, man. It's just like I put in some time with old Simba. You know what I'm saying? Like I put in some time with that title, man.
You beat what Troy had the belt, right? When you
it was DJ Z and the franchise Troy Miller. I miss him. I miss him to death.
Yeah, we love Troy.
He's out here being DJ extraordinaire now.
Yeah, DJ Troy now. Yeah, he's
killing it, man. But like it was triple threat, me and DJ Z, and like I can't help but thank Heroes and Legends enough because they always put me in situations where it was like, here's some pressure, go deal with that. And had it not been for Heroes and Legends, I wouldn't have got my dream match with Scorpio. And the dream match with Scorpio is what led me to get booked in the UK. So
I was going to say that ended up being a good opportunity for you.
Right, a lot of catalysts there. So
let's
good.
Let's go
I'm glad we could be a part of that.
When you came out of Atlanta or Georgia in general, as a greenhorn, right, fresh out the academy. Where did you start working at then? Obviously, you went right into wrestling, right? Where was you? What was you doing then? Was Sug D was Suga Dunkerton created then, or were you just?
Oh no! There was plenty of trial and error that went into that, but it's like a lot of it was like when I started, like I managed a while, I refereed at some places, etc., till I got myself like ready to do ring work. So like I was just trying to get to any indie that I could. So like I was doing stuff at like GPXW and GIWA, like a bunch of indies where Georgia was always in the title. So you could always expect like G somewhere in there. But it was like GIWA, GPXW, GPW, GTW, GG, whatever, like whatever it was. And it was just a lot of that trial and error trying to figure out what the hell works for me during that time frame. And I didn't care as long as I was wrestling. And I think like the longest break that I ever took was probably 6 months out because I was just getting frustrated. And I remember having like a really, really, really just bad match and people were dumping on me for it. So I was like, I don't need this. I don't want to do this anymore. And then for like 6 months, I just stopped. And then I had a friend who was still in wrestling, who needed a riding buddy. He's like, hey man, bring your gear. I promise if it's not the most fun that you'll ever have, then don't go. And it was like my first company that I ever went to that didn't have a G in it. It was UCCW in Lyons, Georgia. And that's where I met Dr. David Raines. And I went and did a tag match and I got the bug for it again. And I kept going specifically because of David, because it didn't matter how bad the match was or how much stuff I missed. He would always light a cigarette, take the straps down, and just sit down in his little like picnic chair in the locker room. And he would run the tape back, and he would be like, "See, now there it is, right there. You're doing the stuff, and Now and then he would run it over and whatnot. But the thing I noticed was the matches started getting better, and then my booking started getting better, and the people that I was in there with started getting better. And I really appreciate him for that, for taking that time, because he really course corrected me. And there's no telling where I would have been. I really needed him when I found him. So yeah,
It gave you your love back.
yeah.
Yeah. You kind of got beat up there for a minute, and
Well, worse, I could have just got nowhere, or I could have thought like I could have thought like the largest thing in this world would have been just trying to be a big deal in Georgia, when there was so much more out there that I could discover, man. And I've got so many great memories and friends and things that I've done, and just beautiful things that have happened in my life because of professional wrestling. But it started with really having my nose in the ground and some people caring about the fact that, like, okay, this kid really put his nose in the ground to get better at this. Let's try to get him through it and then see what happens.
so when did Sugar Dunkerton come to be?
Again, a lot of my good things, I suppose, happened by happenstance. So around that time, I was in college. I couldn't afford to get haircuts on the regular, so I just started like growing my hair. And then this is when I was riding, doing shows with Murder One, and Murder One just saw how big my hair was just starting to get eventually, and he was like, "Man!" And that movie Semi Pro had came out. That was the one with Will Ferrell, Andre 3000, all the
Yep.
other stuff like that. And he was like, "Man," he told me, "Say you need to just stop playing around. Go ahead and get you some like the little basketball like bandanas, all that other stuff like that, and the shoes and stuff." He said, "Man, you come out there looking like a Harlem Globetrotter, man, be money." And then I was like, "Dude, I mean, what are you talking about? That sounds like dumb. It's like that's never gonna do anything for my career." And then I thought about it, and I was like, "I really don't have much of a career, so screw it. Let's go ahead and try
Do
it."
it, yeah.
And I did, and like stuff worked itself out. So when I first started, the first name was given to me by the first name I had was given to me by Disco Inferno. We got playing around with names and everything like that, and he's a huge basketball fan. So when he saw it, he was like enamored by it. So he was like, "Oh my god! So what do you name?" Like he took my basketball from me while we were talking about it. He's just like under the leg and dribbling. He's like, "Yeah, oh this is great." Like, "Oh yeah, you do what? All right." He's like, what are you gonna go by? What are you gonna go by? What's the name? What's the name? It's like it's name. Everything's in the name. So we finally came up with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and that was cool. I like that. You know, we ran with that for a while. And then when it was time to submit my stuff to Chikara, that's where the big name change came in, because Quackenbush saw it. He really liked it. He was like, you know, your timing is actually very good with this, because as it just so happens, we got a basketball wrestler, Dasher Hatfield, who would later become a very good professional wrestler and also a very good professional wrestler, like the adjective in the name. But he's like, you know, the timing on this is very good. The only thing I'm not sold on is the name. You know, I feel like some people hear that and it's like, oh, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, ha ha ha, or oh, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So he asked me to come up with some names for him. And yes, Sugar Dunkerton does come from the semi-pro, the movie Semi-Pro. He had like a million nicknames in him. That was literally like a throwaway name for him. And I take that as a pride point too, because I took a throwaway name, and now when you Google it, it comes to me first. It used to go to him when you used to do that, but now I've done enough where it comes to me first. So that works. But the other name choice, had it not been Sugar Dunkerton, would have been Shawty Roosevelt. Shawty.
I kind of like that.
I like it too. And Murder One was especially a fan of it, because all he wanted was just for crowds around the world just to be chanting Shawty, Shawty, Shawty. But we work with what we got.
Well, I'd say it ended up working out pretty well for you.
It did its thing.
And now you're Pineapple Pete. Who would have thought that we would go from a Harlem Globetrotter looking professional wrestler to a Pineapple Pete? Who would have thought that would ever happen?
Not just Pineapple Pete, the trademarked pineapple.
That's right. That just happened very recently, did it not?
It happened very recently, but it's a very long process to trademark something. But
I'd
yeah.
imagine so.
So like my thought process about it too was, especially since they didn't put in anything for it, I was like, why not leave with something? You know, so like I want the name. You know, that's the way I thought about it. So I took one of those lovely Jacksonville checks and I applied it to the United States Patenting Office, and it's mine for at least the next 10 or 20 years or so until I have to go ahead and do something with it. So who knows? But I'm proud of the fact that there's equity, I guess, in the Pineapple Pete character, and then there's still equity in Sug D. So I do more shows independently as Sug D right now. But you know, I do stuff when it's requested. You know, as Pineapple Pete. Like I said, I'm going on a cruise as Pineapple Pete. I'm wrestling Drama King Matt as Pineapple Pete. But I like the fact that I don't have to, you know, jokes were made about that too, because it was like, oh, now that he's not there, like he's definitely gonna lose money because he can't run the name back. Yeah, I can. And like I don't have to go by like Guava Gus or anything like that and like hope that you get the joke or anything. Look, you know what happens. You know what happens when you don't have a trademark on the name.
Yeah, next week on AEW Dark, Guava Gus is gonna debut. Now that you said that.
True story with Jericho too, because with the shirts, I had a choice between either a lemon shirt or the pineapple shirt. And it just so happens that the pineapple shirt matched the gear that I was wrestling in that evening. So if I had like yellow and green, probably would have been the lemon shirt. But he was like, oh, thank God you wore the pineapple shirt. He was like, Lemon Larry? Oh, he's like, there's nothing marketable about that. You just would have been in the crowd, man. Like, yeah. Thank God.
He just randomly. I mean, that was a random thing on his behalf, right? He just kind of seen you out there doing your thing, and he started calling you Pineapple Pete, or had you guys talked about that?
It was random, but then also he pointed out the fact that Pineapple Pete's was a bar. It was a hangout after the WCW Worldwide tapings. So like when you were done, you know, and when everybody's done, everybody go meet up at Pineapple Pete's. That's where it go down. Yeah. So like he said, when he saw it, it like immediately kind of like, oh my God, like it took him back to like the glory days, if you will, of that and whatnot. So it was like, all right, well, cool, man. That works and everything. And I remember at the Atlanta taping, he jokingly was like, now we got to have a match. And I was like, all right, cute. You know, people say stuff all the time. It's like, oh, that's cute. And then before you know it, yeah, like all that stuff escalated. I will say one thing about the AEW run, if we're talking regrets, my biggest regret out of all of this, especially for somebody that's been at it as long as I have, and it kind of makes me want to double down on making sure that I could try to have bigger moments in the future and making sure I have to stay on top of that. My biggest moments happen when nobody was there. And I won't act like that doesn't bother me. Like you put in all this time, you put in all this work, you know, you break your bones, you got a few almost and some stuff that doesn't work out, like stuff falls through, et cetera. And you do all this because, you know, again, we talked about, are you about the money? Are you about the artistry? I just want to know. I feel like I've been in situations where, like, you know, I've wrestled in front of 1,000 people and I've made them sound like 5,000. I made them sound like whatever. I want to know what 15, 17,000, 20,000, 60,000 sounds like. And it's like, you finally have
the best full Daily's place.
Right. Like, yeah. I don't want a full Daily place. Like you saw what they were selling now. I want bigger than Daily's place if I can get it, you know? And it's like, you put in all that time and that effort, and you finally get like your biggest moment, your biggest match, your biggest everything. And it's like, you're coming out to just, you know, the first few matches with nobody and people that you know, that you're in the locker room with. And then you have your biggest match there. And it's like, it's the locker room. You know, I had more people when I was wrestling at Beyond, you know, and it's like, this is a cosmic joke. I don't know what a Pineapple Pete chant sounds like. I don't know, you know, I don't know if they really would have went crazy when I slapped Chris Jericho that one time. Like, we'd like to think people would have been excited, and I want to believe in my heart of hearts that people would have been excited, but like, damn, man, it's like
without that reaction.
yeah, and it's like it's one of those, I guess we'll never know, but
I kind of look at it like as like a stand-up comedian telling jokes to no crowd, right?
sure.
I mean, you're never going to know what works and what doesn't work.
And beyond the just what works and what just doesn't work, I just wanted to walk out and just know what it felt like. Even if it bombed, and like if there were 20,000 people that were like, oh, this is crap, okay, that was still my 20,000 people that I did that in front of, where they said it was crap. Now, granted, like I got a little bit of self-confidence. I'm very sure it wouldn't have been crap, but like it makes me want to try harder than ever just so I can have like that one moment really in front of like people.
Well, Vegas is starting to open back up. Me and my wife are going in June, but they're, AEW in Vegas, they got a kind of they got a relationship. Would you go to like, Double or Nothing and do like the Battle Royal?
It starts with a phone call, buddy. You know what I'm saying? It's like if we look at my match listing, I haven't said no to a lot of things, so it's like but it all starts with a phone call or an email or a text or a carrier pigeon or a message in a
smoke signal, something.
Right. So
this actually happens to be a great segue into Heroes and Legends 14 on April 24th. It's obviously not the same as a full Daily's Place or 20,000, 60,000
Not the same as a full Coliseum we used to,
Yeah, but we are going to have, hopefully 1,000, maybe over. And I'm pretty sure you're going to get that Pineapple Pete chant at Heroes and Legends. So at least you'll get a little bit of that. And I mean, your ride is not over, man. You're going to get that one day, 5, 10, 20,000, doesn't matter. Eventually you're going to get there because you've worked your way to this point. So, you may not have had it yet, but you'll get it.
I love your positivity, but nothing's promised.
No, nothing's promised, but we have faith that you're always going to put that work in.
I hear you.
It's going to happen.
That's
what has to happen.
What's the phrase?
You've worked too hard for it not to. You know what I mean?
What's the phrase? If you think it enough, it'll come to fruition.
Yep.
But I'm telling you guys, I have to know. I have to know, And then what killed me was when Jericho dropped this on the podcast, man, because that was almost like, why would you tell me this? And I just wanted to like sink, because he was like, man, it got tossed around for a little bit. He's like, it even got tossed around for a little bit, in passing. Like if we had crowds there, he said we probably could have ran a tag match where it would have been like me and Sammy versus you and Cody. And it's just like, you're on the podcast and you're doing the whole, oh yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, that'd be great.
but deep down you're like, why would you tell me this? Why? But then the double-edged sword about it is, we just talked about this. If crowds were there, I don't think this would have been this, man. Because like I said, you saw how many intangibles had to come together just to get that. So like, it's easy to say if crowds were there, but it's like, I wouldn't have been getting a phone call.
I feel like you would have at least wound up on Darker Elevation. JJ Garrett's on. I'm not saying anything about JJ Garrett. He's a great hand too. JJ's been on the show, and what was the Pretty Little Psycho? Shauna Reed, right? She's going to be on Dark this week.
Yeah,
we know you'd have been on there at least.
Hey man, I don't know. Like I don't.
I'm not hating on any of those guys. I love them all. But I'm saying you'd have been in that crowd.
But I know what I'm after, and like the biggest thing is I'm trying to, like if we're talking goals for myself, I want bigger and better locker rooms, and I'm chasing what that arena reaction sounds like. I want that. And I think the closest that I've probably ever come to that might have been Alexandria Palace in London, because they did Progress, and Progress I believe had like 2,000, and I was like a surprise for a battle royal, but it was just like like when it all came up, and it's like when you come out and it's like whether they're booing or whether they're cheering, and it's like it's in sync and people are feeling it. It's like, man, this is good, and I just wanted to know, and I still do, and I'm gonna find out. I'm not gonna stop.
So
We
speaking
are
of that,
definitely going
your
to be back
opponent,
here.
your
Bang all the
opponent of
way.
the 24th is the Drama King.
Yes.
What would you know? He had some nice words to say to you, but his words were, "The guy sounds so nice, I'd hate to punch him in the face."
And that was mostly my fault because apparently I made you sound like a giant teddy bear.
So
my bad. I made you sound too
and
dang nice.
that's fine. That's fine. Appreciate it. Love that and everything like that, because I am a nice guy. I like to think.
Oh, he choked on his own words right there.
Oh, nah. I've been like temperature changes. It's been messing with me. I'd like to think that I'm a nice guy, but I need to make something like very, very, very clear. I'm nice, but again, I'm tenacious, and this business like preys on nice people, and that's cool. I don't ever want him to get a feeling of security in the fact that I'm not going to try to take it to him, because the thing about it is, it's like, there's no promises of rematches. There's no promise we'll ever get to do this again. He's been someplace I don't know if I'll ever be. And in the meantime, I've been everywhere opposite of where he's been. I've done the caravans, I've done the flea markets, I've done the camp shows, I've done the historic halls, I've done the National Guard armories, I've done the empty arenas, I've done all of that. And we get finished, and we just got finished talking about like reactions and palpable reactions. And I can remember like him doing takeovers, like Takeover Brooklyn and things of that nature, where it's like you've got all those people in the palm of your hand giving you the reaction that I've been dying all these years just to be able to get just once. And he's had that a million times over, And when we think about those kind of things, and it's one of those things where he's saying like, oh, he's such a nice guy, that's great. But when I think about those things that he's had that I haven't, when the bell rings, it doesn't make me such a nice guy. If you're not going to punch me in the face, that's fine. I'll beat you to it, because it's nothing personal. It's just you've been someplace that I've clearly told you all that I'm trying to be. And that means I have to challenge myself with some of the very best, with some of those people that have been in those positions that I still think I have a chance to get to. So I don't have time to be in awe of anybody or anybody else's accomplishments. I have to get in there and I have to prove they're equal or better. So when we get in there to Heroes and Legends, I tweeted this to him, and I don't know if he took it very seriously when I told him that, but I will say it again with the utmost sincerity. In the theater, there's only one leading man, always. There's no co-billing. There's no, oh, we could share the spotlight. Somebody has to be the supporting role, and the other person has to be the leading guy on the bill. And I've been a leading guy in Heroes and Legends for a very, 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 very long time. And of all the places that he's been and all the places where he could be a leading guy because of where he's been, I'm sorry, that's just not going to be the place where he gets to do that. Not this time.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I can't think of a
I think it's no more
better
Mr.
way.
Nice Guy.
Yeah, that this is I'm not going to say a side of you I haven't seen before, but this is a side that I think that he needs to be,
Sure.
Matt needs to be a little concerned about, because I think I don't think he knows what he's going up against.
Sure. And I have no beef with the man whatsoever, and all the respect in the world, but once we start talking about the bell ringing in the middle of the ring, we got to go for it, man.
Absolutely.
Business is business, and a win is a win. So,
and I think it's going to be a fantastic match. Two talented individuals, both with great histories. One has a history all of his own. The other wants a history even better than that. And we'll see what happens when Suga Dunkerton and the Drama King, actually Pineapple Pete. We've never had Pineapple Pete before, so I got to get that in my head now. And the Drama King, Matt Raywalt, meet in the ring April 24th, Heroes and Legends 14, Allen County War Memorial Coliseum. I can't think of a better way to.
Tickets are going real fast.
Absolutely, and I can't think of a better way to actually end this particular show, because I mean, how do we top what Shug just said there? So with that, I think we're going to bring everything to a close. It has been a pleasure as always. Can't wait to see you here in just what we 11 days out now.
Yeah, yep.
From Heroes and Legends, it's going to be
we thought might never happen again. I mean, at the beginning of this pandemic, we didn't know what was going to happen and what wasn't. And to get the family back together at least one more time, right? Hopefully more. Man, this feels great. So,
absolutely. Shug, this is your opportunity to take the mic. You have the floor. We want you to go ahead and promote yourself. Tell everybody where they can find you on social media. What kind of appearances you've got coming up. Let everybody know where you are in the world so they can follow you. You have the floor, sir.
All right, I'm gonna try to spaz through this very quickly. At Suga Dunkerton on Twitter. At Suga Dunkerton, FASHO. That is said Suga Dunkerton for show on Instagram. I had to slick that out and everything. You can find me around on Facebook. I'm not on there as much as I probably should be, but it is what it is. Facebook just drives me mad sometimes. So it is, blame the election. It is what it is. ProWrestlingTees.com/Suga Dunkerton. As a matter of fact, I think they got a sale going on as we speak. You can get you fine shirts like my good friend Sean had just held up just a moment ago, as well as a lot of new stuff since my recent travels and whatnot. As far as bookings that I got coming up, thank you so much. Thank you so much. He plays so fine. Don't you agree? Why y'all as far as upcoming appearances, like this, I know this Saturday, PWX, defending my PWX Pure Championship in an open challenge. You can check them out at pwxpro.pivotshare.com. After that, New South Wrestling, you can find them on independentwrestling.tv. Me and Donnie Janela, we're going to team up to take everybody down for the double down. Me and him versus Kenzie Page and Dylan McQueen for the New South Tag Team Championships. We're going to get that thing done. After that, I will be cruising over to Ohio Wrestling Alliance on Friday, the 23rd. It's going to be me versus Pretty Boy Smooth. He's taller than me, but I ball out harder than him, so it doesn't matter. I'm still going to tap him out. And then I'm going to make a nice little brisk drive from Ohio over to Fort Wayne, Indiana, where it's going to be me versus the Drama King, and we're going to do our thing. And I think the curtain is going to get called on your boy. And then I got way more stuff than that because, I got a lot of fun stuff ahead. I got new states that I'm hitting up. I got new companies that I'm hitting up. A lot of fresh opposition that I'm getting a hold of and whatnot. And I guess the other thing that I could say is just thanks. It's been a very strange road. So I just think anybody that's been supporting me, whether it's overseas, whether it's on this side of the ocean, online, what have you, you never really expect people to care. And then the funny part is people just do. So I always make it a point to make sure that anything I do, it's worth emotional investment. So that's the way that we're on right now.
I found myself getting jealous when you went overseas. And because, for the longest time, I even though you've been all over the world, I consider you a Heroes and Legends homegrown talent, right? You're our guy, right? And so I'd see you over there killing it overseas going, he's ours. You guys go. But I definitely was, couldn't have been prouder of you. I mean, we're definitely stoked to see you here next week. It's been a long time. And I just appreciate you coming on our show. And I know you pick and choose, you know, who you talk to. And I'm just, I thank you for talking to us.
Of course, I know you guys. Like it's all love and everything like that. And look, don't blame them. Like if they were holding me hostage, I wasn't fighting too hard. You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, please, no, stop. No, please. Like, yeah, so yeah. But we're back doing what needs to be done. And I think it's gonna be a hell of a homecoming. And I think no matter what name we want to call it and everything like that, the energy and the performance is still going to be something to behold, because that's just what I do. That's what I do.
Fantastic. Well, hang on with us here for just a moment as we go off the air. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for tuning in to the Hot Dog and a Handshake podcast, episode 7. As I said, with the one and only, because there can be only one, Suga Dunkerton, aka Pineapple Pete, our friend, our buddy. We love you. Can't wait to see you, and best of luck in everything that you do.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned in and watching the universal currency for all professional wrestlers. If it's good enough for a guy like Sug D, if it's good enough for Pineapple Pete, if it's good enough for all the independent world, then it's good enough for you. That hot dog, that handshake, stay locked.